By the middle of 2028, the Sky City movement had grown much bigger than anyone had thought it would. What began as Haven 1 had grown into a network of 12 working cities that float at different heights and latitudes around the world. Sarah stood on the observation deck of Haven 1, which was now her permanent home. She could see the lights of Haven 6 twinkling 40 miles to the west. Now, 300,000 people lived in the sky, and that number was growing every day. Isn't it amazing? Dr. Patricia Okonovo came to the window with her. 6 months before, Patricia had moved to Haven 1 to learn about how people interact with each other in sky cities. 2 years ago, this was just a manifesto written in a coffee shop by an angry person. Now it's a society, a civilization the council said we'd never reach. Sarah said, her voice full of satisfaction. The council had stayed quiet. They haven't sent a single message since their first review. But Sarah was aware that they were watching. Everyone knew they were being watched. Life in the sky cities had changed into something one of a kind, a mix of best parts of human culture and the needs of their strange surroundings. Sarah's job had changed from planner to cultural architect, and she was now helping to shape the social fabric of this new world. The relationship with nature was the most different from life on Earth. In the sky cities, nature wasn't something you went to see outside. It was a part of daily life. The green heart at Haven's One Center had become a beautiful ecosystem. Sarah walked through it every day, along with the thousands of other people who used it as a park, a place to meditate, and a place to meet people. It was 3 stories high and covered 2 acres, and it had more than 10,000 kinds of plants in it. Marcus Williams, who is now 19 and studying environmental engineering at Havens One University, had become the Green Heart's unofficial spokesperson. Sarah saw him there one afternoon when he was giving a tour to new arrivals. Marcus was talking to a group of wide eyed newcomers when he said, people ask me what it's like to live in an artificial habitat. But look around. What's fake about this? These trees, plants, and butterflies are all real. Yes, people made this environment. But isn't that what we've already done? This is how cities on Earth are built. The difference is that we did it on purpose, with thought, and in harmony with the life we share space with. He pointed to a huge oak tree with branches that spread out. That tree is 4 years old. That's not possible, is it? It takes a long time for oak trees to grow, but growth rates are faster up here because the environment is controlled and has the right nutrients, water, and light. It's not strange. Optimized nature is what it means. Sarah smiled as she thought the angry teen who had made that first viral video. He had grown up with the sky cities, and both of them had become stronger than anyone thought they could. The way people lived in sky cities had changed naturally over time. Economies work differently without traditional property ownership. Real estate speculation or fake scarcity. Linda Park, an economist who had been looking into the sky city model, talked about it at a community forum that Sarah went to. We've accidentally made what theorists have talked about for centuries, Linda said. A city without scarcity, at least for the basics. Solar and the atmospheric harvesting made energy limitless. Farming that is optimized make food plentiful. Water is used over and over again. People get housing based on need, not how much money they have. Someone in the audience asked, how do you stop people from taking advantage of you? Why would anyone work if they get everything they need? Linda smiled. Because work isn't about staying alive here. It's all about purpose. People work on Haven 1 because they want to help make things and be a part of something important. There has been a change in culture. What you give, not what you own. It makes you important. Sarah had been seen this with her own eyes. The teachers, artists, engineers who solved problems, and community organizers who brought people together were the most respected people in the neighborhood, not the richest. Robert Chen, an older man who lived next door to her, was a great example. Robert had worked as a corporate lawyer on Earth. He was successful but not happy. He had retained as a teacher here in Haven 1 and was working with young children in the education complex. I spent 40 years arguing over contracts and billable hours, Robert told Sarah one night over dinner in the communal dining hall. I was good at it, made a lot of cash. But when I help a 6-year-old finally get how fabrications work and see their face lit up, that's worth more than any paycheck I've ever gotten. The dining halls themselves were a big surprise. Most Sky cities had adopted communal dining instead of having everyone cook in their own apartments. Not required, but suggested. The halls were huge, beautiful places where chefs cooked meals using food from the vertical farms. Most nights, Sarah sat with a group of people from different backgrounds. Tonight, Robert, Marcus, Yuki Tanaka, and a structural engineer, Diego Santos, an artist from Brazil, and Dr. Aisha Muhammad, a medical researcher, were all there. I got a message from my brother today, Aisha said, shaking her head. He's still on Earth, in Lagos. He wanted to know when I would be back down. I tried to tell them that I'm not coming back. This is where I live now. He didn't get it. My family understands, Diego said, but they are also artists. They know how to choose the life that makes them happy over the life that's expected of them. Did you miss Earth? The group asked Yuki. Sarah thought about the question. I miss some things. The sea, hiking in mountains. But really, in most ways, life up here is better. Air that is cleaner. Food that is better. A stronger community. We're not in danger of natural disasters, pollution, or traffic. Plus, we're proving the council wrong every day we're up here. Marcus said with a smile. That's very satisfying. The hospitals and clinics in the Sky City had gotten much better than expected. Dr. James Chen, who had switched from physics to medical research, had made an interesting discovery. The lower gravity in some parts of the Sky Cities has healing effects. He said during a presentation that Sarah went to. We're seeing amazing recovery rates for injuries that would stay with people on Earth. Some neurological conditions, spinal damage, and joint degeneration respond better to treatment up here. Haven One Group had set up what they call the healing gardens, which were parts of the city kept at different levels of gravity for medical treatment. Sarah had gone to see them while doing research on how to design homes. Patients floated gently in almost no gravity, which took the stress of Earth's pull off their bodies. Physical therapists helped them to do exercise that would be impossible on the ground. The results were amazing. People who couldn't walk on Earth were now walking and even running in the sky. The school system had also changed in a big way. Schools in the sky cities were built to make the most of learning because they didn't have to deal with the problems that come with traditional buildings and small spaces. Sarah and Alina Martes, the principal of Haven 1, went on a tour of the main school complex. The school was really a network of different places around the city where people could learn. Elena said, we don't put the kids in groups by age anymore. We put them in groups based on their interest and skills. A 6-year-old who is good at math goes to school with other kids who are at that level, even if they are 8 or 12. A teenager who is interested in biology spends time in the vertical farms where they learn by doing. They walked through a classroom where kids were making small ecosystems and testing different combinations of plants and bacteria to see which one works best. Learning isn't just theory up here, Elena said. These kids are helping with real research. Their test could help us make our life support system better. Education is more than just passing tests. Marcus was giving a lesson on how the atmosphere works. Sarah peeked in and saw him using real weather data from the city to show students how their home moved through air currents and pressure systems in real time. The kids growing up here, Elena said quietly, they're going to be unlike any generation before them. They're being taught to see the problems as chances and to see the impossible as engineering problems that need to be solved. The arts grew in the sky cities in a wave that were not expected. People had time for creative activities because they didn't have to work more than one job to make ends meet. All of the galleries, theaters, and music venues did well. Diego Santos, the artist Sarah often ate with, had his studio in the creative district of Haven 1. That afternoon, she went to see his newest work. The studio was a clear dome that let you see the sky all the way around. Diego's painting covered the walls. They were huge canvases that showed how beautiful life in the sky city was. Sunrises that can be seen from above the clouds. The earth is covered below. The northern lights dance at high altitude. I could never have painted these on earth, Diego said, as they stood next to her and looked at his work. From the surface, the perspective is literally impossible. I see things up here that no artist has ever seen before. It makes me feel small and gives me hope. The music scene was just as lively. Instruments made just for the changing gravity. Concerts in the zero G entertainment sphere, where both the performers and the audience floated and the music surrounded them in three dimensions. Sarah went to a concert there with Robert. A string quartet plays Aspired, an original piece written to be heard in zero gravity. The music sounded like it came from everywhere and nowhere, and the acoustics were unlike anything else on earth. This is what the council doesn't get, Robert whispered as they floated, the music washing over them. They see us as a species that is trying to survive, but we're not making it. We're doing well. We're making things beautiful that have never been seen before. The psychological studies of people who lived in sky cities by early 2029 showed some very interesting results. Sarah was very interested in what Dr. Patricia Okonovo had to say in her report. The number of people with depression was 70% lower than on Earth. There had been a 60% drop in anxiety disorders. The scores for social cohesion were through the roof. People said they were happier with their lives, had a stronger sense of purpose, and had better relationships. Patricia's paper said that the Sky City environment removes many stressors that plague Earth based societies. People don't worry about money as much when their basic needs are met. It is hard to be alone when the city's design includes community spaces. Instead of putting up with environmental threats, we deal with them. The outcome is a populace that is healthier, more content, and more efficient. But it wasn't perfect. There were problems. Some people couldn't get used to living at high altitude, sick from the city's gentle movement, feeling bad mentally because you're so far from the surface of Earth, homesickness that wouldn't go away. The Sky Cities made a policy that was kind. Anyone who wanted to go back to Earth could go without being judged or punished. They gave free rides. About 8% of people who lived there chose to go back. Not everyone is meant for this life, Maya Rogers said at the city council meeting that Sarah went to. That's fine. We're making this for people who want it, not making anyone do it. But for those who stayed, the Sky Cities were more than just a place to live. They became proof of the idea, proof that people can make paradise anywhere. Evidence that the council's judgment was not only incorrect. Haven 1 had its second birthday on December 31, 2029. There were now 500,000 people living in the sky cities. There were 12 more being built. There were no signs that the movement was slowing down. That night, Sarah stood on the observation deck and watched fireworks from many cities light up the sky. The surface of Earth below sparkled with its own celebrations. The stars shone bright and clear above. Marcus, who was now 20 and about to graduate with his degree, joined her. You know what's funny? He said as he watched the fireworks. The council said Earth was a death world to scare us, but all they did was push us, and people never backed down from a challenge. Sarah smiled. No, we really don't. Do you think they're watching us right now? Are they? Marcus asked. I know they are, Sarah said, and I hope they're writing things down. The 18th of January 2030. 4 years have passed since the Council's decision. Sarah was in Haven One's new astronomical observatory, which had only been finished a week before. The observation deck had a clear view of space, unlike Earth based telescopes, which had problems with atmospheric distortion. Kenji Yamato, the director of the facility, was giving Sarah a private tour. We've been picking up strange energy signatures, he said as he pulled up displays on the holographic screens. Very faint, very far away, but definitely not natural. We believe that the Council has cameras set up all over our solar system, Sarah said. They're still watching us. It wasn't a question. Oh, they're definitely watching us. And if our math is right, they're probably very confused right now. Kenji brought up the long range scans that showed dozens of bright spots in the orbits. The cities in the sky shone like jewels around their home planet. Kenji went on. When they left 4 years ago, they thought they would come back to a civilization that was lying. We've made this instead. I'd love to see how they look. The observatory's communication system went off with urgent alerts, as if the conversation had called them. Dr. Yamato, one of the technicians, yelled, We're getting message. The same energy signature as the council's first message. Sarah's heart raced. Are they back? Not in person, the technician said, but they're on the air. And it's for all of us. Within minutes, every screen in every sky city showed the incoming transmission. The same thing was happening on Earth below. The silver face of Ambassador Kelvin came back again, but this time he didn't seem as calm. People of Earth, Kelvin said, and Sarah heard something in his voice that she hadn't heard before doubt. The Galactic Council has received your unusual response to our assessment. Even though there was a lot of tension, Sarah smiled. We called your world a category 1.2G that world 4 solar cycles ago and said that your civilization would fall apart based on our observation of 47,000 developing species. Our models showed that there was a 98% chance that society would fall apart in 200 years. Kelvin stopped for a moment. And if Sarah didn't know better, she would have thought that he looked uncomfortable. Our models were incomplete. We didn't take into account a variable that doesn't come up very often adaptive innovation, driven by rebellious creativity. We don't have any other examples in our database of how you deal with environmental problems. Another break, this time longer. The Galactic Councils asked for permission to send a diplomatic group to look at your sky cities. We would like to know how you were able to colonize this many planets in such a short amount of time. It took us hundreds of years to build similar projects. You did it in less than 3 years. The transmission ended, and billions of people were left speechless. Then the crowd started to cheer. People flooded the streets in Haven 1. People who didn't know each other hugged. Kids danced. The celebration spread from city to city, bringing a wave of happiness and vindication. Sarah was caught up in crowd outside the observatory. People were laughing, crying, and shouting their victories to the stars. We did it. Marcus showed up next to her and hugged her so hard that she lost her balance. Wow, we really did it. They want to learn from us. Within hours, an emergency meeting of the Sky City Council was called. Sarah was there, along with the important people who made this miracle happen. The council chamber was full of people, including Maya Rogers, Tom Baker, Glenn Fitzgerald, Dr. James Chen, Raymond Park, Amara Ossie, and many more. Chairman David Okafor, a Nigerian diplomat who had helped organize the international cooperation, said, "The question before us is simple. Should we let the council come? And if so, what do they want to say?" The argument was heated. Some said they should be turned down so that they could feel the same rejection they had shown to people. Some people said that the best thing to do was to accept it with grace and take the high road. Maya broke up the fight. "This was never about revenge," she said as she stood up. "We didn't build the cities in the sky to get back at the council. We built them because it was the right thing to do, because it showed us something we needed to see, that the only thing that limits what we can do is our imagination and will." She glanced around the room. "If the councils wants to learn from us, we should teach them, not to brag, but to tell you what we've found. That's what advanced societies do. They help other people." Everyone voted the same way. The council's delegation would welcome by everyone. Right away, people started getting ready. If the council came, people would show them what they had built, not just the building, but also the people, the culture, and the way of life that thrived in the city. Sarah was put in charge of welcoming committee, which was in charge of planning the delegation's tour. She threw herself into the work, determined to show not only the amazing engineering, but also the people who made it happen. The council ship got there 3 months later, in April 2030. It came down from space with technology so advanced that it made all the humanity's achievement look simple by comparison. But Sarah didn't feel less than. They had different technologies, but they were both creative. Ambassador Kelvin was in charge of a group of 12 council members, each from a different species and with a different area of expertise. Chairman Okafor, Maya, and Sarah greeted them at Haven 1, along with a group of children from City School who were there to honor them. Kelvin got off the ship, and the sun shining through the Sky City atmospheric shields made his silver skin shine. He looked at the gardens, the buildings, and the people, and Sarah could see that he was really surprised. "This is not we expected," he said. "Good," Maya said with a smile. "We're good at going above and beyond." The tour took 3 days. Sarah showed the delegation around every part of the city in the Sky City. They showed them the atmospheric processors, and the engineers from the council were amazed at how well the design worked. One of them said, "We've been harvesting material from the atmosphere for thousands of years, but never with this much integration. Your systems are very well designed." They went to see the vertical farms, where council biologists were amazed by how fast things grew and how much they produced. One person asked, "How do you stop ecological collapse with so much biodiversity?" Lynn Fitzgerald replied, "We don't. We accept it. The system takes care of it itself. Its strength is its diversity, not its weakness." They watched classes in school, where council teachers watched kids solve problems in real time, using what they had learned in class to deal with real life problems. "Your young being contributing to societal function at remarkably early development stages," one said. "Because we give them meaningful work," Elena Martinez replied. "Kids aren't just learning for the sake of learning. They're learning how to be active members of their community right now." But the green heart seemed to have the biggest effect on them. Sarah led them through the 3-story forest at the heart of Haven 1. She watched as council members of different species reached out to touch the plants, breathe the air, and see the living ecosystem. Kelvin said softly, "We have biological habitats on our worlds, but we keep living areas and natural preservers very separate from each other. We have never thought about putting them together so completely." "Why do you want to separate them?" Sarah asked. "We're not separate from nature. We're a part of it." That was one of the problems with Earth, in fact. We never thought of nature as something to work with. We always thought of it as something to conquer or protect. A young member of the council, whose species Sarah didn't know, spoke up. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Are you happy here? Living in what is basically an artificial environment, away from the surface of your planet?" Sarah smiled and thought about to respond. "I'm happier than I've ever been. And I don't think this is fake. Yes, people made it and built it. But people also made cities on Earth. The difference is that we designed with intention, purpose, and harmony here. This is not a separation from nature. It's the evolution of our relationship with it." The council delegation asked to meet with the leaders of humanity in private on third day. Maya told Sarah about the conversation later, but Sarah wasn't there. Kelvin said he was sorry in a formal way. Maya said, still looking shocked. On behalf of the whole Galactic Council, he said that their evaluation was based on a small amount of information and cultural assumptions. They thought that any species on a world with a lot of gravity would only be interested in staying alive and wouldn't be able to make advanced technology or complicated social structures. And and we showed them they were completely wrong. He said that in order for humanity to reach its goal, they will need to change their whole classification system. They have labeled dozens of other worlds as death worlds, but they might actually have thriving civilizations if they were given a chance. Sarah felt a rush of pride, not just for people, but also for all the possible civilizations that might now get a fair look. Maya went on. "There's more. They have offered us full membership in the Galactic Council, not as species on probation, and not as developing world. Full membership means having all the rights and duties that come with it." "What did we talk about?" Maya smiled. "Chairman Okafor told them we would have to vote on it. It takes time to make a democracy." Kelvin looked confused and said that the most species let their leaders make their choices. Okafor said that people don't work that way. Everyone has a say if we're joining a galactic community. 2 weeks later, the vote took place. Everyone over the age of 16, whether they lived on Earth or in the sky cities, got to vote. The question was simple: should all of the humanity join the Galactic Council? The results were very clear. 87% agreed. Haven 1 was the site of the official ceremony. Delegates from all the sky cities and Earth nations were there. The council sent a group of 100 people from different species. Sarah watched from the observation deck as Chairman Okafor signed the agreement, which made humanity a full member of the galactic community. Okafor said in his speech, 4 years ago, we were told that our home was a death world. We were told that our kind was going to die out. We were judged, put into groups, and sent away. But people have never been good at accepting that other people can limit our potential." He pointed to the windows, where you could see a dozen sky cities glowing in the distance. "We didn't build these cities to leave Earth. We built them to make what it means to be a human bigger. We showed that problem can be good things, that limits are calls to come up with the new ideas, that the only world of death is one where imagination dies." He looked at Ambassador Kelvin. "We accept your offer to become a member, not as students looking for help or children needing protection, but as equal, who bring our own unique point of view to the galactic community. We hope you're ready for us." The applause was loud that it hurt. That night, Sarah stood in her apartment and looked out at the stars above the earth below. "Hey, Dr. Mitchell," said Marcus in a message that came through her on a tablet. I just got into the Galactic Institute of Technology. It looks like they want to learn about new engineering ideas on Earth. I will be the first person to go. Isn't that crazy? 4 years ago, I was just a mad kid making videos. Now, I'm going to speak for all of the humanity in Galaxy. Sarah wiped away her tears as she thought about how much they had done. They had changed a verdict of doom into a declaration of victory. They had turned a world of death into a world of heaven. They had turned the biggest problem facing humanity into their best work. The Galactic Council had tried to set limits on what humans could do. People had answered by showing that there weren't any, and in the vast universe, on worlds that the Council had given up on, being too hard to live on, other species were looking up at their own hard skies and thinking, if humans can do it, maybe we can too. The cities in the sky kept getting bigger. People kept growing, building and dreaming, and the galaxy would never again think they were weak.